Okay, here we go. In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to build a website and get found on the internet. Don't panic. This is a big topic, but we're going to break it down to something that's really manageable for an individual tutor just getting started. First, some statistics. 46% of Google searches are for local businesses. That means that half the time when someone searches for something on Google, what they're really looking for, or the solution they ultimately find, is a business in their own town. So don't discount your website as a powerful source of new clients just because you're sticking with a local market. Having a website that drives traffic to you can still be very powerful. And this statistic grabbed me. 61% of mobile searchers, so those are searchers using a phone or mobile device, are more likely to contact a local business if they have a mobile-friendly site. So people are looking for you online, and they're looking for some specific things when they Google and find your business page. So like we asked about social media, we'll ask about a website, but how though? That idea of just starting a website, that seems like a really big, overwhelming, high-tech idea. So let's break down some options. Here are the basics. When you create a website, the first thing you need is a domain name. This is your unique address on the web. So my tutoring site is at www.readingwritingtutor.com. That's what's called, I get some traffic from what's called an exact match domain search. So people are searching for reading and writing tutor. And so I come up because my website is called Reading Writing Tutor. So you can name your business anything you want. You can pick any website you want, but you want to pick something that is, first of all, easy to say to people. And second of all, is when people find it, it won't be too hard to figure out what you do based on the address. So you can get a domain name from a place like GoDaddy or Google Domains, and it's going to cost $8 to $12 a year. You could get a good one for $8 to $12 a year. You shouldn't have to spend more than that. There are some domains that are really expensive, right? So there's the website tutor.com. Somebody owns that. I think actually the Princeton Review might. And it's a very expensive domain. It's not up for sale right now. They're using it. But just because those exact match domain names are already in use doesn't mean there's any kind of shortage of domain names for you to use. .com is sort of considered the classic domain name or the gold standard. A lot of websites are also have .net as their suffix. There are plenty of other options. There's .biz and .read, and there are lots of other options, but it's better, and your site is usually considered more credible by the search engines if you have something traditional like a .com or a .net. .orgs are for nonprofits, so that is probably not a good fit for you if this is your business. The next thing you need when you're developing a website is hosting, and your hosting is where your website lives. So it doesn't live on your home computer, it lives out on a server somewhere at your hosting company. And that is where people are going, where the information is actually stored and where they're retrieving information from when they type in your domain name. Hosting, you can get a lot of good deals, especially for your first year of hosting, but it generally costs, I don't know, less than $10 a month. You can get it really inexpensively at some places, especially for your first year. And the third thing you need is a platform. So this is the structure that underlies your website, the software. One big platform for hosting websites is WordPress. My website is built on WordPress.org. There are others, but WordPress is open source, meaning it's free to install the WordPress software. And lots of tools have been built for WordPress. So if you're building a website, there are lots of things ready-made for you to work with. That's hard though. Building a WordPress website is very time consuming. So it either involves hiring a developer, which costs money up front, or it involves learning the skills yourself. which takes a lot of time. I put together my first basic website in probably a couple weeks of evenings. Um, but it was very frustrating and very difficult. And there are some things that I look at it now and I say, like, oh, well, I wish I'd done it this way. But now that my business is up and running and I'm very busy and I have two kids instead of one, I just don't have the time to rebuild certain parts of that website. So as it gets out of date, I'll have to either make the time or hire someone to do it for me. But developing a WordPress site for yourself is not the route I would recommend taking. It's doable, it's manageable. But if you want to get into the tutoring business and not the website building business, you probably want to go with a simpler approach. Some of the options are all-in-one solutions. So a site like Wix or Squarespace or Weebly offers your hosting and your platform all in one place. And they have a lot of simple, user-friendly templates that you can use and just put your content in. And they're sort of geared toward very small businesses looking to quickly get a web presence. So Wix at this stage is my recommendation. It's the least expensive of the sort of all-in-one options. It's a bit pricier than building your own WordPress site and just paying for hosting and a domain name, but your time has value too. So if you think about the hours that you would put into building a site from scratch versus the monthly commitment that you would pay to Wix for them to host your site, it is probably worth it for you at this stage. So why are we building a website? So search engines can find you, so people can Google you. And the way that happens is called SEO. What the heck is SEO? So it's search engine optimization. And that sounds very technical. And people have their whole job around writing content with good SEO and checking the SEO of websites. But really, what you need to know is that good content that people want to read gets found. So the search engines are getting better and they're using more and more subtle things to figure out if a website is a good one or if it's junk. SEO is based on keywords. When you type the words into Google that you want to find, those are called keywords. And so a website that has those keywords in it is what Google will present to you on the search results page. You can pick certain keywords, write about them in your content, and eventually Google will sort of find you, but don't wait for Google unless you're ultimately, instead of focusing all your energy on SEO and having a website that gets found by search engines, that takes a lot longer. It's quicker to just directly share your content with the people you want to share it with, because as your website starts to get a little more traffic, Google will figure out who's coming to your site and why, and will start to rank you a little higher in the search results if you have quality content. So when you have a new page on your website, a service you want to offer, information you want to share, don't wait for Google to find it. Share it yourself to whatever social media site you're using. And think about, as you're developing content on your website, think about the question, what is it that my clients are searching for right before they hire me? So sometimes it's really straightforward. Sometimes they know from the beginning that what they want is an online Orton Gillingham tutor. And sometimes it's a little more complicated because they're looking for a solution to a problem. So the problem might be that their child is a slow reader, or their problem might be that the teacher's saying the child is avoiding reading in class. So think about what it is that parents are looking for when they hire you. You might have to dig a little. So I ask parents, how did you find me? What were you looking for when you found me? Because that's helpful, real information. I can try to imagine what a parent would Google to get to me, but I'm not always right. So it's helpful to talk to the clients you are working with and find out how they found you in the first place. And that is sort of your best route to building good content on your website. So what goes on your website? An About Me page. And this can include your qualifications and your background, a little cover letter kind of blurb about what you do. But it can also include your interests, funny stories, a picture of you doing something you love. This is not as dry and formal as a resume. This is like, think about what would people see if they sat down with you in your physical office? Do you have pictures on your wall? Do you have a calendar that's full of cats? Like, what are the things that people would know about you if they met you in person? And how can you give them that same sense of knowing you on your website? You'll want to have a page that talks about the services you offer. You may choose to include your prices on this page, and you may not. You should include what services you offer. Do you offer Wilson reading, Orton Gillingham? Do you do homework help? Do you do test prep? Include the ages of students you work with, especially if you have limits around that. If you only work with students up to 5th grade, for example, make sure you include that. It'll save you some time with people who call you not really understanding what you offer. If you offer in-person services in addition to online, include that. Make sure you have some way for people to contact you. I have a Google form as my contact form, and that's embedded right in my website. So people fill out that form and I get an email and I can schedule a call with them. You can also just have a contact page where it has your phone number and an email address. And then some kind of content. So having some kind of something that you're developing that would interest the kind of people who would also hire you for tutoring. So that could be blog posts. That could be videos that you're posting on YouTube. That could be a free something that you offer, like a reference bookmark or a packet of graphic organizers or a specialized planner page or something you can offer to people that will cause them to come to your website and get something valuable and think like, oh, hey, this person was really helpful. Maybe they are the tutor for me. A couple of other places to get found. In addition to your website or while your website is getting built, you can create your Google My Business page. And that is a page that often comes up. So when a person searches for blank near me in Google, the results that they get are often these Google business pages. So when someone searches for a reading tutor near me in my geographic area, they find my page, and I actually come up these days higher than the local Sylvan Learning Center. I come up higher on the list when someone searches for a reading tutor near me, which is pretty cool. So that page, you can include your contact info, a little bit about your services. You don't have to show your physical address for that. If you don't do in-person services at that address, you can choose to leave that out. But that is helpful for getting found on Google. And then in addition to Google My Business, you can also list your name in professional directories. So I have one at deeprootslearn.com, and because you're taking this course, you're eligible to put a listing on that directory. My focus there is on literacy tutors. So Orton Gillingham, Wilson, Barton, people that are offering specific literacy services, because I'm getting parents trying to reach out to me in other ways, either through the tutor Facebook group or to my website with tutoring requests that I just can't accommodate. The Literacy Nest also has a tutor directory. My directory is no cost for people who have worked with me, gone through my course, or done coaching with me. The Literacy Nest directory has a small fee. I want to say it's like $10 a year. You may also qualify to be in a directory for your various professional organizations based on your Orton Gillingham training. And you can also find plenty of online tutor directories online. Those, I have not found all of them to be valuable. There's one dyslexia, and I can't remember what it is. One dyslexia directory. I don't know how I got in it. I don't remember if I asked to be in it or if a parent referred me to it, but I'm in this directory and I have gotten a couple of calls from it. And that is the only one that's really been valuable for me. But there are also a lot of places you can just put free listings. And so it doesn't hurt to get your name and contact information out there if it doesn't cost you anything. So those can be really helpful, especially as you're getting started and you're building your own presence online. So that's a lot of information. I think it is really important to get yourself some kind of home on the web. Attached to this lesson, you'll see a guide to building your website. It has a checklist of things to put on the various pages and ideas for content. And hopefully soon I'll be able to tell you about some other really simple and inexpensive ways to build your website. But for now, I would recommend looking at Wix and Weebly as a couple of options to get started. And really, you could build a website in one of those places in a day, if an afternoon, if you knew what the content was that you wanted to put on them. So get started thinking about what your domain name is going to be, your address on the web, and how you're going to get that website built.